Yo, what is the upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXGamerCast, episode 130 of my gaming show where once a week I just have to talk about video games, whether they're old video games that I grew up with, new video games that I'm playing today, it doesn't matter, video games. And today we are looking at a little indie darling that dropped late last year, and I picked it up, been hearing all about it on a lot of end of the year best of lists. I'm like, yo, I want to check this game out. And in that game, if you can rate it, is 9 Souls. This game is fucking hard. Super duper hard, but very, very enjoyable. So I'm going to be doing a review on that one today. But before we get into the 9 Souls talk, let's talk about what I've been up to over the last week or so. As I always encourage you, the viewer, the listener, let me know what y'all have been up to. As the homie Hutton, he has been playing Sifu as of late. And yes, he is. I've had Sifu on my list for a very long time. And just right now, I'm on a little bit of a mission. So I will be getting to Sifu. I'm hoping maybe after I'm done with the current game that I'm playing right now. But the way that he was talking it up, he sounded like he had a blast with it. He played it on easy mode. Like he's not a hardcore gamer anymore, but he enjoyed that one. And yeah, I've had it on my radar. I have it downloaded, and yeah, I'm probably going to go check that one out. He said he beat it in about 2 hours, so that's encouraging. I could go for a shorter game. I am currently playing a very long game, and that game is Tales of Arise. I have never played a Tales game before. As far as I can remember, there's a lot of Tales games, like ones I remember from like the threes, like Tales of Vesperia or Tales of Symphony or something like that. Anyway, it's a long, ongoing franchise, the Tales series, and this is the first one that I've ever played. Honestly, I just saw it on the PlayStation Network thing. I saw the picture of it. I was like, oh, that looks neat. Looking at the screenshots, looked up a little gameplay. I'm like, yo, this looks like really good. Really, really good. It's a JRPG. And it's sadly leaving the PlayStation Network in about a week or so, the 18th, I believe. And yeah, I was like, oh shit, I want to play it. So I am on a mission to finish this 40-plus hour RPG in a little over 2 weeks. And I'm doing very well. I'm like 30 hours in already. I think I'm like 2 more kingdoms away until the final battle or some shit. So I'm plowing through Tales of Arise, and it's a beautiful looking game. I love the art style. The music is ridiculous. Just another banging soundtrack that I'm hearing this year. Freaking awesome music. Battle system really cool. Really reminds me of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's like an action-y combat style, but you can also change the characters up on the fly. Like you can be a mage, you can be close combat, you can do a little bit of everything. So lots of variety. The moves are super flashy and over the top. I will admit I have been getting my ass kicked a little bit by the game to the point I had to turn it on to story mode because, I don't know, the game initially tells you to like, oh, avoid battles, like don't fight. It's better if you just go around them. So that's what I did, and then I started getting my ass kicked by every single boss fight. So I had to turn it on easy mode, and yeah, having a lot better time with it now. I was not expecting it to be tricky. It's more of like a grind over it being hard. Like enemies just have massive health bars, especially the bosses. Like they'll come in with like 80,000 health and you're like, all right, I'm doing like 500 damage and it's gonna be a minute. And yeah, they do big damage. But yeah, I was getting my ass kicked by Tales of Arise. But if you got the time and you're looking for a JRPG and you like the Final Fantasy VII Remake battle system, this might be for you, man. This is a very fun game. Really into the story as well. The characters are really good. It's a fantastic little RPG, man. So I don't know if it's gone under the radar, these games. I don't think, like, it's probably more of a Japan franchise. Probably big over there, not so much here. But I'm digging it, dude. I'm really digging Tales of Arise. So playing a ton of that right now. And when I can, I am putting in a little bit of time into Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. Number 2, the sequel, and yeah, I'm playing through the adventure mode right now, and it's fun, like it's good. You're just going through levels. It's kind of the same thing every level. It's just like, oh, rather you're collecting a certain amount of fruit, and then you got to get the ghosts and shit. It's Pac-Man. It's super fun. I'm pretty excited to get into the like score attacks where that's more or less what I remember Pac-Man Championship Edition when I used to play it way back in the day. I played the original so much. The score attacks and stuff like that, super fun. If you haven't played Pac-Man before, like Championship Edition, bro, get in there. It's so cheap. I think I got it for like $5 or something. Great game to play on the Switch handheld. And that's all the gaming I've been doing. A lot of time into Tales of Arise, really trying to get that one done by the 18th. And yeah, I got 10 days as of me recording this, so I'm in great shape there. And my other mission, going to TV shows now, is Attack on Titan. Oh, holy shit. It has been, I did not realize there was this many episodes, but I'm at the end of Season 4. Season 4 is damn near 30 episodes. I thought it was 12. Definitely misread that one, so starting to have to grind in some episodes here. Like last night I did like 8 episodes, and I'm like at the end now. I'm like 2 episodes away from the final of Season 4, and then there's like 2 specials that are like an hour each. So I got 2 more of those, and I have until midnight tonight to finish them off before my Crunchyroll free subscription ends. So yeah, I'm a cheap bastard. I don't want to pay $10, so I'm going to get that shit done. The only quarrel I'm having with Season 4 right now, it's just too long and so freaking miserable. Oh my goodness. Like, I understand, like, it's a bad time, but it's been like 6 episodes of just, oh, I failed everybody. I'm just so useless. Oh, what am I gonna do? And just like, it's just, everybody's doing that right now. It's just like, oh my goodness, can we move the fucking My Chemical Romance convention down the street? Like, you guys are all so miserable. Like, what is going on? I mean, I know what's going on, but holy shit. Some of the action in Attack on Titan, bro, is just some of the best I have ever freaking seen in an anime, with the music and when those titans are going after each other. And the thing I'm loving about Season 4 is this constant, like, control of power. Like, whenever one side seems like, all right, we got it, the other side comes back with like another attack, and you're just like, oh, what? Everything's fucked. And then they come back and they're back in control. It's just this back and forth battle. It's crazy. Yeah, just right. I think they've just pushed it a little bit too many, too much extra episodes for me. Now, it's probably because I've watched fucking 50 plus episodes in the course of 10 days here, but some of it, I'm just like, all right, let's move on from this shit and let's get here. Like, I've been waiting for like the thing now. They're just kind of pushing it, prolonging it until the finale. I'm like, all right, let's just fucking I'm ready. I'm fucking ready, man. I can't wait for this conclusion. It's incredible. If you have not seen Attack on Titan, might be the greatest anime I have ever watched. I mean, I love Dragon Ball Z, I love Pokemon and shit like that, but this is on a different tier. It's just insane, man. The music, like, oh, there was an action scene the other night that I watched, and the music kicked in, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, dude, this is freaking incredible. I'm loving Attack on Titan. I don't know if it's hit the pinnacle of like Season 1 for me. Like, Season 1 just fucking blew me away. Now, that's probably because that's like the first kind of adult anime that I ever watched, and I was just kind of blown away by the violence and just the dark tone of Attack on Titan. But yeah, bro, I am right there. I can't wait to talk about the completion of the show next week when I have it all done. But oh, it's going to be a fun night tonight watching those finales on Attack on Titan. It's been amazing. My wife and I are watching The Challenge. It's season 40, and it's Battle of the Eras, man. We got 40 seasons, and the best competitors from, like, you got, like, seasons 1 to 10 going up against 11 to, so on and so. So 4 different eras, different age groups, and they're all battling it out for supremacy. Very, very enjoyable so far. It is a all-star cast, all-star roster. You're seeing huge names going down, like, super early. Bananas is gone. I'm like, oh, no, there goes. Wait, Bananas not good. CT's gone. Like, that dude's a legend. I've never seen him go down this early before. So, yeah, dude, really enjoying The Challenge. Wife and I are crushing that show right now. So that is going very well. And that's it. That's all I've been up to right now. So much Attack on Titan. So much Tales of Arise is taking up all my time. And wrestling, of course. So much wrestling. All right, so let's talk about this Nine Souls game that popped onto my radar super late, and holy crap, did it ever kick the shit out of me. Let's talk about it. Oh, buddy, 9 freaking souls. All right, so I'll rip the Band-Aid off right now, and this game beat me. I could not beat this game. Now, I will say the final boss, once I got to that final boss, I didn't give her a chance. I didn't really try to beat the game. When I got there, I was pretty much burnt out. It was a hell of a time getting to the end of this game. It is extremely difficult. It is a very hard game. What I can compare it to is basically it's Hollow Knight meets Sekiro, and it is fantastic. When I heard that, I was like, oh, my ears perked up. I was like, yo, 2D Sekiro, you getting a little Hollow Knight action. We're all jonesing for Hollow Knight. Where the fuck is Silk Song? Am I right? Well, if you are one of those people that are jonesing for some Hollow Knight, you've already played through Hollow Knight a few times maybe, and you're just dying for some freaking Silk Song, but we don't know when the hell that game's ever coming out, so why don't you try out some 9 Souls? Trust me on this one. If you like Hollow Knight, you like a Metroidvania, you like a hard game, maybe you like those Souls-like games, this could be a fantastic gem for you right here. I didn't know a damn thing about this game until the end of the year. You know, roundups start coming out and everyone's putting out their best games of the year, and this one was popping on quite a few lists from some people. I'm like, yo, we got some similar flavor in styles of games, and I'm like, yo, this sounds great. So, what is 9 Souls? 9 Souls is a 2D Metroidvania, very, very similar to Hollow Knight. You are playing as Yi. Yi is this adorable yet badass. Don't just say he's cute, but you are playing as a cat-like character. I think it's called like a Feng Xing or something. I don't know, but it's a cat, and his name is Yi, and a little bit, what do you call it? Reused, recycled. You have lost your memory, and you're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. You're in this world that is controlled by some shady people, and you're looking to stop it. So this world is controlled by the 9 Souls, hence the name of the game, and you are traveling around this world, and you are going to defeat and collect the 9 Souls to do something. Now, I didn't finish the game. I didn't see the ending. All I did was watch what the final boss wanted me to do, and I said, I'm not doing that. I can't at this point. And I'll get to why, but we'll get there. So you're playing against this cute little kitty, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, and that's where your adventure goes, man. And you will meet some really fun characters along the way. Now, mainly the main character you're gonna meet very early in the game is Xuan, or I think that's what his name. I literally called him Shan for the entire game until I saw a guide, and they're like, "Oh, you talked to Xuan." I'm like, "Oh, I was calling him Shan the whole time." Oh well, but you are like a badass guy. You're very reclusive. You're a bit of a loner, a lone wolf, if you will, stuff like that. You don't know very much, obviously, and you're a bit reserved, and you hold things into yourself. But as you go through this adventure, one of my favorite things of this game was the relationship that Yi and Shan or Xuan build throughout the game, and it's almost like a big brother, little brother type of thing. Like, you got this Shan kid, he's young, and he's a little kid, he doesn't know any better, and you're teaching him all this cool shit, and he's just loving it. And Yi responds very good to that. He's like, oh wow, you're showing interest in things that not a lot of people would show interest in, especially a kid of your age. So Yi and Xuan develop a very nice relationship throughout the game, and I like it. So you'll have, like, kind of like in most of the Souls games, you'll have kind of like you got a home base in 9 Souls. It's beautiful. We call it the Pavilion. It's like this big, fancy kind of hotel thing, and you will meet some characters along the way. Shan will be there, and like I said, some other people will all kind of be. It's your hub world, your home base, and it's lovely. I love being there. Very nice, cozy area, safe space. Like, you love those safe spaces in the kind of games where you feel rather not safe. You're in immense danger at all times. So, like I said, it is a 2D Metroidvania in the style of Hollow Knight, and this game is developed. I want to start shouting out these developers a little bit more, or a lot more. It's developed by Red Candle. Now, they don't have a big track record. They had a couple of games prior to this. I think it was Devotion, two games. So pretty small, not that well-known developer here. And, I think this one right here is going to put them on the map for sure. I've even heard some people saying that they like this game more than Hollow Knight. I won't go that far. I still preferred Hollow Knight. But this game is very, very comparable, even with the lore. Now, with this, that might have caught some of y'all's attention, because the lore in Hollow Knight is arguably some of the best in video gaming. I went so deep down the rabbit hole for the Hollow Knight lore. It is amazing. It is so fucking good, and it really just took Hollow Knight to that next tier. I think Nine Souls is like it's climbing up that hill, but it didn't quite cusp over the hill and go down, you know what I'm saying? But I like the characters, and I didn't go down the rabbit hole, admittedly. Like, I didn't go on YouTube and watch a bunch of lore videos in Nine Souls, but the lore is there, man, with similar to Souls games, like all these 9 souls that you're going to take down. Each one of them is a unique character in that of themselves. They all have a pretty vicious backstory that you learn about after defeating them. You'll, go into their memories, and you'll see what brought them to this point in their life. Like, what crucial crossroads, what crucial moments happened to them to get them here. So you're learning the backstories of these 9 souls. You're learning the backstories and your own memories of Yi. You're building this great relationship with Xuan and your other friends along the way. And yeah, it's a fantastic adventure. But, all right, so that's kind of like the intro right there. We'll dive more into everything, of course. But let's just go over to the graphics and talk about the way that this game looks. It's a very nice art style. Much more bright than Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is this dark. Everything's dark and sludgy and just shadowy. Nine Souls, more bright, a little more vibrant in its color schemes. Yi is this... He's got this nice bright orange robe on, and man, the art style really pops out. And whenever I was talking to people about this game at work, I'd say, hey, have you heard this Nine Souls game? They're like, oh, I think I saw that. Is that with the cat on the cover, the bright orange? I'm like, yeah, really pops out. It's a lovely art style, man. I really enjoy it. Colorful. The animations are very nice as well. All the characters are nicely animated, and a lot of action going on in the background, man. There are some pretty cool shit. There's this one boss fight. You go in there, and it's just like this chaotic party going on. Everyone's fucked up in the back. They're chilling, just wasted, dancing. Meanwhile, you're having this epic boss fight, and all that's going on in the background, distracting you. So the backgrounds are nice and lively, and lots of details going on back there. And it's a Metroidvania, big map you're dealing with here. Definitely not as much backtracking. You're not dealing with as much, nowhere near to the level that I did in Metroid Prime. I didn't go through the same areas 17 times. Really isn't that kind of game. They have a good fast travel system where it's as long as you're in the pavilion, they will travel you right into that area eventually. You'll unlock that as you go, as in Metroidvania fashion. You'll unlock the double jump and the dash and all that shit. So it's got all your typical Metroidvania stuff like that. But the map is varied. You got lots of different areas that you're going to. Dark areas, leafy areas, classic. I don't think there's a snow area thing. There's no snow area or anything like that. There's this Cortex Center area that I really liked. It's almost like a dreamscape you're in. It's pink and purple, lots of just kind of psychedelic colors, if you will. I really like the Cortex Center. That was a good one. You're in a prison area. It's more futuristic. Definitely a more futuristic theme to it than Hollow Knight. You got more machines. The enemies are more machiney. There's ninjas and shit like that, but your enemies are... Well, there's a good variety of enemies, of course, as well. There's good variety. Not as much as Hollow Knight. I'll give Hollow Knight the edge there. This would have made a great versus, but we already know my answer is Hollow Knight. I much preferred Well, I would say, much... Sure, why not? Because I think Hollow Knight is just a masterpiece, and this is the closest thing I have played to feeling like Hollow Knight. So this is immense praise for Nine Souls. I think it's an amazing game, don't get me wrong. But yeah, lots of fun areas to go around. Now, I did have an odd amount of hard crashes playing this on the Xbox. It is available on Game Pass, so if you got the Game Pass and this game tickles your pickle, get out there and download it now, because who knows, it'll be gone one day probably. But playing this on Xbox, I had like 6 or 7 hard crashes where the game just quit, sent me back to the dash, and I'd have to restart it. Now, it only took like 15 seconds, the whole ordeal, but yeah, not great, right? It's, it's not like the biggest, most massive gigabytes or anything like that, so I was a little bit surprised to have this many hard crashes with the game. Other than that, it runs smooth as silk. Like, I had no frame rate drops, no bullshit like that. So other than the hard crashes, that's my only issue in terms of performance. Everything else smooth as butter, or silk, whatever the fuck you want to say, I don't care. But it's a great looking game. I love the art style, very flashy, very poppy, and I just like the art style. I like the way that the characters look, I like the way that they move and feel. Yeah, man, it's some good shit. We'll slide over to the sound design. I am very much so into the music in this game. I love that, I don't know, Western feel, that those flutes that you get. It's fantastic music, man. The battle themes are bumping, the combat themes are bumping. You get the nice kind of melodic, more calming, soothing sounds when you're in like kind of more peaceful areas and stuff like that. Yeah, great variety of music. I really enjoy it. Now, it doesn't hit the level of Hollow Knight for me, and it doesn't quite hit the levels of Sekiro, but you kind of combine those styles of soundtracks, you kind of get what Nine Souls is bringing. There's a little bit of like what do you call it? That dance music. There's a little bit of dance music in there. Like, yeah, dude, the soundtrack absolutely bangs. No problem with the soundtrack. Really good. There isn't any voice acting. It's very minimal voice acting, so it's just kind of like grunts and like things like that. But the sound design is fantastic. So when we get more to the gameplay, there's a lot of parrying, and you're using your sword, and the sound of the perfect parry is just a ping, ping. It's a very satisfying ping. The smacking enemies feels good and satisfying. The sound effects are great. Really good sound effects. Good stuff right there. So yeah, I think that will lead us to the gameplay now. Let's get to the best part of this freaking game. So, I've said this 100 times already. 2D Metroidvania Souls-like game. Very comparable to Hollow Knight. So, you are doing the Metroidvania thing where it's like, alright, we got this big area, bunch of different ways to go, but they're going to be blocked off by, I can't jump over this thing, I can't make that jump, this is locked, that's blocked, so I'm going this way, we'll find some shit, and then we'll come back and open up this way in a little bit. Like I said, it's definitely not as to the side of the Metroidvania part. It's definitely more heavy on the combat. Combat is more of this game's bread and butter than the exploration side of the Metroidvania, where you're, like, don't get me wrong, you can go around, you're collecting, there are hidden items around to upgrade your health and shit like that, or whatever the fuck, but the main thing of this game is the combat. So Yi is equipped with a sword, and you will get a bow eventually. So you're doing the sword, you got your sword swipes, you got your little sword combo. It's like a 3-hit combo, like wham, wham, wham. And I believe, yes, you have a hold charge attack as well. So you hold that thing, swing, you get a nice big attack with that. But of course, it takes time to charge it up. So you have that with the bow. The bow is kind of like a support item. Really good for clearing out if you're in a room with a bunch of enemies. It depends what bow. You have different types of bows that you can unlock. There's like a piercing bow. The one that I used throughout the whole entire game was the explosive bow, where you shoot the bow, wherever it hits, it'll just kind of shoot off a nice electric explosion, and it does big damage. You can upgrade that shit. Very, very useful. And you can also use the bow at certain points during boss fights to interrupt certain attacks that you don't like, so on and so forth, and all that stuff is upgradable as well. So with the combat, of course, you got your parry, which is you just tap one of the buttons, and if you do it at the right time, you parry, and that's some great stuff. And you got a dodge. So the dodging is fine. You can do the dodge, but with the parry, the more that you parry, you'll build up your gauge to pull off a talisman attack. So every time you do a successful parry, ping, 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 that's 3 refills of your fucking talisman gauge. And your talisman is like your kind of your special attack. It does big damage if you can pull them off, and they're all upgradable, and you got different kinds of them as well. So the one that I was particular with, I believe it's the time delay one. So what you got to do, say I got a full bar, you can upgrade this fucking talisman gauge as well. You can have like 7 or 8 nodes, so you can fill that thing up, maybe up to 5. I think maybe it's up to 5 or 6, something like that. But every time you do a successful parry, you fill in that thing, and then you hit the trigger button, and you'll do a talisman attack. And the talisman will attach to your enemy, and the one that I use is like you have to hold on to it. And the longer you hold on, the more of those gauges, those bars, those pieces you'll use. And I had a certain perk where if I fill it up to 5, hold it for 5, it does a big explosion with big extra damage. So again, it's a risk and reward thing because you got to time them. If you sit there and do that attack, you got to hold it and charge it. If you get hit, it cancels that attack. So you lose all your things, you take damage, and you do no damage. So it's a lot. This game relies on a lot of risk and reward system, very similar to Bloodborne, and that is one of my favorite mechanics about Bloodborne, is that risk-reward system, and they have a very similar system to that in this game. I'll get to that in a moment. But with the talisman attack, man, it's easier to dodge. It's way easier to dodge an attack, obviously. You telegraph the attack, boom, you swoop through, kind of like the iframes in the Souls games. You'll have that little bit of invincibility, you get through the attack, get to the other side, you'll be okay. But it'll just take you a lot longer to whittle down enemies if you're focused on dodging only. You gotta master the parry. Parry is very important, because then you can go off and do your talisman attacks. Those do the most damage. So you're trying to fill up your bar, doing perfect parries, but these enemies are fucking tough, man. Like, these enemies are fast, hard-hitting, they got weird patterns that you're trying to fucking figure out and all that stuff. It's super challenging, but very satisfying. Rarely throughout this game did I get frustrated with the enemies. Regular enemies throughout. Definitely better on this game side, Nine Souls, than Hollow Knight. There are so many fucking irritating enemies in Hollow Knight that I just dreaded going back to certain areas. I'm like, I gotta deal with that piece of shit enemy again. This game, definitely not as much so. So not as many annoying enemies to deal with, which is good for me. Now, there were some bosses that I had some problems with. I'm not gonna go through every single boss, but I beat every boss except for the final boss. I beat every mini boss, every boss available to me there. I beat all of them. There's a lot of bosses in this game. The mini bosses might be like consistently the most fun because they're not generally so hard that you're gonna be spending like an hour plus learning their patterns, and that's what you're gonna be getting into with this game. If you do not like that, you don't like rinse and repeat, trying a boss 40 fucking times in a row, trying to figure out that pattern, and then bam, they throw second phase at you, and you gotta learn a whole new pattern and grind it out. It's a very grindy game. Like, every boss in this game, every mainline boss, took me a while. Even the first boss kicked the shit out of me. This game isn't fucking around. I don't think it's the hardest game that I ever played, but it's definitely there. It's definitely like a top 10 hardest game that I've ever played. I would say, more or less, it really grinds you down, man. At least I don't know if I'm just bad at this game. More than likely, but yeah, a lot of the bosses I had to grind and try again and again and again and again, and by the time I got to the final boss, I was begging them, like, can you please just throw me a bone and give me an easy boss fight? And absolutely not. They're like, nope, we're gonna triple down, this is the hardest boss fight possibly ever. It is so again, I didn't even give it that much of a chance, but I know what it wanted, and I was like, I'm not doing it, because it reminded me of the Ishin Sword Saint final boss fight in Sekiro, where it was just like, yeah, I'm like 3 phases and I'm ruthless. You got to be perfect. And I was like, I don't want to do this for 3.5 hours and 4 days, and just, no, I wasn't into it. So that is that. It is a very grindy kind of boss fighting Souls-like game. It's not easy. So just take that in mind. Everything's pretty challenging, but it's a satisfying combat system. So the other system that you have that falls into that risk reward, you have these unbound counters. Now these unbound counters are interesting. So you'll have your enemies, they have their unblockable attacks, their unparryable attacks. All you can do is dodge it or do an unbound counter. So an enemy will like flash a red thing, you'll be like, oh shit, it's doing an unblockable attack. So what you have to do an unbound counter, you gotta hold down the parry button, hold it for a moment, and then Yi will build up this power, and then you unleash it, and it'll block these unblockable attacks. It is very tricky to time it properly, and there is a boss that I think that it broke this mechanic, and I will explain that right now. Alright, so this boss was the Fuxi and Numa fight. This is the only fight in the game that I thought was kind of broken and unfair, honestly. This one this was like a 3.5. This took multiple days to get through, and I almost gave up here. I kept pushing, and I would look up things online, and I'm seeing it pretty consistently where everyone was like, yeah, this boss seems a little bit broken, a little bit just unbalanced. So let me explain. So the boss is basically a 2-on-1 fight, kind of. So you have one kind of big brute enemy, and then you have kind of a magic projectile enemy in the background. It's a 3-phase fight. First phase, it's just you and the big man, and it's great. You and the big man, fun pattern to get down, no problems right there. I can generally get through the first phase, barely getting touched. But then the second fucking phase kicks in, and this is where it's the exact same pattern with the big man, but now this projectile bitch comes in, and she just throws every pattern off. So she'll throw knives at you, and so there is a particular combo that they'll throw at you. So the girl, she'll throw 2 knives at you, and just after she sends the knives after you, he starts to charge up his unblockable attack. So what you gotta do, and I swear this takes like a millisecond to do, you gotta double tap the parry, so you ping ping, block the 2 knives, then you gotta hold it and release it as quickly as possible. If you hold it for just a millisecond too long, it will kill you immediately. It's almost an instant kill hit every single time. And that fucking combo move got in my head so bad, I just didn't know what to do with it, because it was like a 10% success rate that I'm going to be able to move my fingers fast enough to do a double counter, unbound counter before this fucking guy launches off this attack. And the attack also releases a wave of fire, so if you just sit, you're going to die. You're going to die. If you get hit, you're dead. And that move alone killed me about 487 times, and I was getting mad, bro. Like, I was like, I don't think this is a blockable thing. It is demanding such perfection, so little room for error, and I just thought it was too much. I'm like, if you just give the gamer half an extra second in between that it's just too tight. It is way too tight, and it's a pretty sporadic boss fight. Like, they're not pulling off the same moves all the time in the same pattern. Like, you kind of have to just pay attention and react. Sometimes they'll do that fucking combo like 5 times in an attempt, and you're just like fucked. Sometimes they'll do it once, and again, I would get in my head with this freaking combo. I was like, fuck, like, I need to be able to, like, I can get 3 counters off in a second and fill up my bar and do big damage. It's, again, risk reward. Or I can attempt to try and dodge this attack, which is also extremely difficult because it's a homing attack. Motherfucker jumps in the air, and no matter where you are, he's going to land where you are. So you got to be... Oh, it was just such a tricky freaking move. I couldn't freaking figure it out. And of course, there's people online, no-hit runs. I'm like, fuck all you people. You guys are ridiculous. I eventually did it, but that was the only boss where I felt like it was unfair for me. Where I was like, it's too fast. It's too perfect. It's just wants way too much perfection. Eventually, I got it. But even when I had it, man, I never felt confident in that I was going to hit it. And hitboxes in this game, they're not perfect. There's definitely some times where I'm like, yo, I did not get touched by you, or I block that. Like, there was a handful of times where I was just like not satisfied with that. Now that could be just me in the heat of the moment. If I watch a replay, it's like, nah, clearly you got hit there, but there was quite a few times I was like, nope, that didn't touch me, or like, how am I supposed to dodge that? So there were some problems with some of the fights. Just this one in particular was like the only one I was like, fuck, this is kind of broken, bro. So Fuxi and Numa, you guys can both go to fucking hell. You're pieces of shit, and I really hated you. So back to the gameplay. You also, like Hollow Knight, you'll get like, you know, how they have jades, which are like perks. And you, again, another thing you can upgrade. You at the beginning of the game, you can only have like one of those things activated. Eventually, you'll unlock more slots, and you'll have all these different jades to pick from. Very similar to Hollow Knight, where it's like, okay, this is pretty tricky. I mean, the one that I loved, again, helps me with the risk-reward system. So we have this thing called internal damage in Nine Souls. So very similar to Bloodborne, when you get hit by an enemy, you see your health bar go down, but you see like this gray area. And if you hit the enemy back before that goes away, you will regain that health that you just lost if you hit them back. Nine Souls has this as well, and there's a fantastic perk, a jade that I used throughout whenever I got it. That was it. That was my baby. And it will turn regular damage to internal damage, and then I can hit the enemy back and get my health back. So it just helped me stay in the fight way longer than I would without it, because I'm turning unhealable, or like I can get my health back. And that's just like I love that system so much because of Bloodborne, and I'm so happy that it's in this game as well, because I love a good risk and reward system where it's like, you can't really get mad at the game because it's your decision. It's like, fuck, should I go for this attack and heal myself up, or should I just back off and legitimately heal myself? And of course, like a Souls game, you can heal yourself. You smoke a pipe, it's really fucking cool, and you're smoking some herb. You know we like that in our day and age, so that's really cool. I like the fact that you can smoke a pipe, heal yourself up, you can upgrade the pipe, you can find these freaking herbs and shit and make it heal you more. It's great. So you get all those kind of upgrades as well. But there are a ton of these, I think they call them nodes in Nine Souls, the Jades in Hollow Knight, whatever, they're perks. There's so many nodes. There are so many nodes in this game to find. I barely found like half of them. There's so many. And they do different things. Some of them are health related, like, oh, it'll give you a little bonus in health. It'll give you, I'm trying to think of the ones, like, there were some I just really didn't use all that much. There's, you know, the odd ones where it's like, oh, it'll help you collect more money. You can dodge this certain attack, stuff like that. And of course, with every boss fight, you can mix them all up. And depending on what boss you're fighting, you can stick different jades in to help you with certain enemies. Like, you know, some enemies throw a lot of strikes, and you're going to be parrying a lot. There'll be a jade that's like, oh, it'll help you build up your thing faster with parries. So it's like, all right, this is a parry heavy boss. Let's bring in some perks that help me out with parries and give me more benefits for parries. So there's a lot of strategy using your jades, your nodes, whatever the fuck they're called. Me personally, I found my thing, and I found my playstyle very similar to Bloodborne. I'm fine with taking a hit as long as I can get it back, and that's the way I loved playing this game. It was super fun, so that was great. I like their little perk system, and let's see, was there any other systems in here? Okay, so there's one really cool thing. There's a guy that shows up at you'll meet, what's his name? Shion? I think, yeah, name is Shion, and this dude, very strange. So he turns poisonous foods into booze that you then drink, and it'll make your health increase. That's how you increase your health in Nine Souls. Very cool, very unique, and it's funny. So you'll find there's like a very creepy looking creature that runs a shop. He's very funny, and he'll sell you poisonous items. You buy these poisonous items, you bring it to him. I think you have to bring him 2 poisonous items, and then he'll turn it into booze. Then you guys get drunk together, and then you have like a little moment. You have a little funny moment, and oh, I just can't get over it. I love the sound of that guy munching on whatever he's munching. It's just, oh, he makes everything sound so delicious. So that was awesome. I like being able to fucking yeah, there's a good amount of like collectibles. There's good, like, you can adventure, you can go out looking for shit. There is like a couple of side quests, like they're really not a lot in that. Like I came back to the pavilion, they were like, oh, I heard like my hometown is in peril, can you go over that way and check it out? And I was like, yeah, sure. I did it, and yeah, I got some stuff for it, so it was pretty cool. Generally all you're gonna find are jades, money. There's money, you can buy shit, everything's really fucking expensive, and in classic Souls fashion, you can lose all your money. Didn't happen to me too many times, and when it did, it wasn't like so detrimental. So you're not leveling up like you do in Bloodborne, Dark Souls. Very similar to Sekiro. You're not leveling up like and putting points into defense and attack and stuff like that. You just, very similar to Sekiro, you just kind of grow. You kind of are what you are. Like, you have your blade and your fucking arrow, and that's really all you get. You don't really have any. You get a couple of different arrows. Your weapon is your weapon, and you just got to get good with it. You got to be good with your sword. You got to be good at dodging and parrying, and use your perks to your advantage, of course. But yeah, it's not like an RPG at all. You're not putting points into systems. You're not got a big branch of fucking perks to go through. Well, I mean, yes, you do. There is a perk branch, in fact, where you are. Again, you can, well, I guess it is kind of like, but not in that way. Like, it's, again, very much so like Sekiro. Like, you're not making yourself better at holding a blade. It's just, all right, now I can do a little more damage with this. I'm better at blocking with this. There are some moves you'll be able to unlock as well. Like, there's a particular kick. And actually, there is one more mechanic. There's a particular dodge that you'll have to do. Enemies will go into like a green. They'll have like this green shade around them, and you got to jump on their heads. And when you jump on their heads, it'll block their attack, and you'll get a nice opening to do some good damage. So you want to be on top of that, and it all accumulates. Like, you don't have all these systems right away. You will, in great Metroidvania, they're nice and balanced. They're just giving you, here's a little bit of this, here's a new mechanic here, all right, try this move, all right, here's this double jump dash move now you can do, all right. So they're dripping it out very nicely. You're learning. I've never felt overwhelmed with the mechanics. I was like, all right, very nice, all right, finally we get the double jump. Oh, fuck yeah, I can do all this shit now. So it's pretty simple, like, upgrading system, but when you get to the end of it, the last ones that you unlock are pretty good. That's where I got you do the 5 ping talisman thing, and it does a whole bunch of big damage and stuff like that. So that was a really good perk to get, and yeah, it's pretty simple. So I think with all that said and done, let's talk about the bosses in this game, because holy fuck, they're so freaking hard. All of these bosses, man. Even the first boss, I believe his name is Xing Yao. I think that's the first boss. He's like this big armored, like, fucking scorpion dude. And yeah, he took me a long time to take down, man. Like, I'd say like an hour of attempts, because I was just getting used to the mechanics still of the game. I was trying to figure out how to parry good, and this guy was just not fucking around. This was no tutorial boss. This was a legitimate boss, and they're like, get good, kid. Like, if you can't get through this guy, you got no fucking chance. So he was no hand-holding of a boss whatsoever. And his parries were freaking hard to counter, and I was really, really bad at dodging the undodgeable attacks at first. I just couldn't freaking get it done. But what was the best thing about this first fight, even though it took me dozens of tries, I didn't get frustrated, and I was having fun the whole entire time. So that is great boss design. That's fantastic. That's why I was like, oh shit, this game is like legit, up until I got to that one boss that I talked about earlier. But all the bosses were like challenging but fun. It was a fun fight, and yeah, a great fight to teach you what the hell was going on. Then you got Yang Lao's, that robot that he sends out at you. Holy fuck, man, those things are tough. What was really tricky with that guy was the fact that he would be changing the directions of his attacks, which you actually have to be like facing the right direction to block the attack properly. So what he would do, you're like facing him, you're fighting him, and he's throwing these attacks at you, but then he'll throw a claw behind you and it'll drag behind, and you got to make sure you turn around and block that attack or it's going to hit you. So that was fucking with me, because I would get in my head and like, oh, he's going to throw that behind attack. I'd turn around, it'd be a different attack. And oh, fuck, man, that guy was tough. And he just kept going like from left to right, right to left. He would put down these laser beams that would, you had to be in this little area. Don't touch the beams. And holy fuck, that dude took me so many tries, man. Like so many attempts. And that's the theme with all these bosses. But oh my God, that fucking robot was awful. So freaking tough, but it was fun. Again, that was a fun fight. I enjoyed doing it. And like by the end, man, like I'd have my wife watching me and like just watching me be dialed in and just like, especially when you have the first phase down, you just slaughter a first phase. You don't even get touched. And she's just like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, just wait till the second phase. You're just pressing all the buttons and shit, going crazy. Oh, man. And then you got Jaequan. Oh, Jaequan, you piece of shit. I fucking hated this guy. Jaequan could die Quan. This guy was absolutely unpleasant. Keeps putting up a shield and re-healing himself. That is just like, I fucking hate bosses that do that. Oh, there's nothing worse than a boss that'll heal himself. And you have to do a charged attack to stop him from doing that. And quite a few times, you gotta hold it like a particular amount of time. If you release it too early, it won't do the attack, and then you waste time, and he refills his whole entire health bar. And you're like, fucking fuck. So this one is like very precise. You gotta make sure you're hitting those attacks properly. And he's a piece of shit. He's got this big fucking long stick that's got crazy range, very difficult to dodge. Jaequan was like, he was a wall for me, man. Like all the bosses were a wall, but this guy, I was just like, damn, dude, this one was another one. I was like, I don't know if I can fucking do this, man. But after so many attempts, I finally got through him. He was rough. And it just keeps going on. Another I think almost all of the fights are multi-phase fights. 1 or 2 phases, the odd third phase fight. But I'm not a big fan of that, man. I really don't like that. That's one fucking fad from the Souls-like games that it just kills me, man. Like, I fucking hate a boss fight that I spent an hour grinding down, and then they're just like, woo, 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 new health bar, and you start all over again. You're like, for fuck's sakes, man. Like, sometimes I'm like, the one phase is enough. Do it just because, like, some games I just think they push the difficulty too far to the point that it's just unpleasant. And I think this game had that problem as well. So did Sekiro, in my opinion. But, man, it's just too much sometimes. Too freaking much. So, Lady Ethereal, guess what? 3-phase fight. Now, thankfully, the first phase is a walk through the park. It's very, very easy. You can get through it, no problems. And then the rest of the fight. The second phase was fucking ridiculous for me. The second phase, by far, for me, was the hardest. The third phase looks way worse than it actually is. It's a very intimidating. She's like shooting off big attacks and stuff. Really not that bad. It's the second phase that fucked me up. In the second phase, that's where she starts cloning herself, and you're dealing with 3 of them. And not all at the same time, but you gotta be so focused, man, because she is throwing attacks from all over the place. You got undodgeable attacks coming from the top down. She's coming from the side. You got to also do, she has like the jump dodge attacks that you got to jump on her head and do the spin to stop her. This one, though, was really fun. I loved the feeling of this fight because she's constantly kind of like swinging you around, like left to right, moving you back and forth. And her attacks were really fun to block, and she was just tricky, man. Like, she really keeps you on your toes because she's just throwing just everything. She's got projectiles, she's got unblockable attacks, there's multiple copies of her, and this one you gotta, like, really have your charge attack down. Like, you are constantly holding down that charge attack, waiting for her to appear, and she's just popping up all over the place. Fucking crazy. This one took me, again, for absolute ever, but I really enjoyed that fight. It was super fun. Okay, now we got the broken fight, right? Yeah, so Fuxi and Numa, we talked about them already. It was just too much. It was too fast. It was unpleasant. The second phase especially. First phase I loved. Just me and the big guy going one-on-one. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, that guy is fun attack, good pattern. And then that bitch comes in and ruins everything with her fucking annoying projectiles. I couldn't tell you. Like, it was such a demoralizing fight because for a while there, like, I wasn't even getting close in the second phase. Like, I wasn't even getting close to beating this thing, and then I got close like one time. Like, you know, when you're playing these games, sometimes you're like, this is it. Like, I'm feeling it, this is it. And you, like, the attacks are coming in real nice, you're not getting too many, you're getting some luck here, you're getting a good RNG, and I'm just like, this is it. And I fucking choked, bro. I fucking choked, and I knew it. That as well will happen when you're like, I have it, but then I know that feeling that I'm gonna choke and I'm gonna blow it, and I had that feeling, and it happened. It was, all I had to do was heal. And I fucking went for this stupid attack, and she got me, and I was crushed as a human, bro. Crushed as just crushed. Absolutely crushed me, that piece of shit boss. Absolutely hated it. Then you got G. G was a fun fight. It was actually kind of easy, if I do say so myself. This one was pretty unique because she would, like, kind of spin these balls around, and she would pick, it would land, like, kind of like a fucking wheel, and it would land on a particular attack, and then you just kind of knew, eventually you would figure out what those attacks are, and you're like, oh, okay, I can adjust accordingly. Then she would, like, put out these black holes, and the black hole is, like, kind of sucking you in towards it, so you're fighting against that pull, and she's also throwing these knives at you, so you're like kind of getting pulled in two directions because you need to block the attack pushing this way, but you're also pushing against the black hole pulling you in because you don't want to get sucked into that fucking thing. But yeah, she only took me a handful of attempts. She really wasn't that bad, and that's where I started. I was like, oh, maybe it's going to be one of those games where the final boss isn't the hardest fucking thing in the world, and oh man, was I ever wrong. So the final boss is in fact one of the hardest things in the fucking world, and that is Igon. Igon is definitely the biggest challenge of the game, and like I said, by time I got here, after all those fights that I just went through, I didn't even talk about all of them. There are more fights in the game than that, much more fights than that, but those are the ones that really stuck out to me, for good or for bad. But that final boss, man, when I got there, I started fighting her, and she was kicking the shit out of me. I'm barely scratching her on the first phase. And I was like, all right, I just wanted to know how much they wanted out of me as a gamer. And it was a 3-phase fight. It can be so it's one of those games, a true ending, which is another thing I don't like. I don't like fucking games that are like, oh, we have this true ending, but they don't let you know about it. Like, you have no idea that, oh, I need to go over here and hit this specific thing and read this specific text, and then I'll get the true ending. No, fuck you for doing that. Don't do that shit. If there's a secret special ending, have some magical angel come down and tell me I gotta go over here and read a special fucking thing so I can get the real fucking ending. I hate games that do that. Don't. All right. But I was in the market for the 3-phase fight, and I saw what phase 1 was, I saw what phase 2 was, I saw what phase 3 was, and I said, not today, walk away. I am not going through that. I got flashbacks of Ishin, the Sword Saint, and I just started getting PTSD, and flashbacks from the bosses of this game, and the bosses of Hollow Knight, and I said, you know what? I'm good, dog. I'm good. I tapped out. I tried her maybe 6 times, then looked at what I was getting myself into, and I said, I can't do this. And then I had the Tales of Arise thing. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get started on this game before it's gone. So I'm sorry, 9 Souls. I couldn't defeat your final boss. Didn't really give it a shot, but I'm tapping out, and I don't think I want to do it anyway. Even if I go back to it, I don't think I want to do it, man. It's gonna be one of those fights that's really gonna just make me not like the game that much, because it's just asking too much, and I just don't appreciate that, man. I know you're at the end and you want it to be this big, epic, hard battle, but it's just like, does it have to be me versus your incredibly hard boss with 1,000 different attacks, and I gotta be absolutely perfect for 10 fucking minutes? Like, your average fight in this game is like 2 minutes, and this thing is just too long. You got to be too perfect, and I can see myself time and time again getting to that 3rd phase, getting rocked. Ooh, my cat's food dishes are going off. They're very excited about this. Sorry about that, but I'm not in that market no more, man. Like, there's just, we're getting too far down that rabbit hole now, with the Elden Rings and all these bosses having to have multi-phase fights, and they're just so fucking hard, and they take years off your life trying to frickin' beat them, and I'm not there for that, man. I'm at the point now where I'm fine at being defeated. That's okay. It's too much for me. I am so proud of anybody who's listening to this that did beat it. Congratulations. You're better than me. But not today, brother. I am not doing that fight. I'm just not doing it. Look it up yourselves. Look up that fight yourselves and tell me you want to go through that. Look up the 3-phase fight, not the 2-phase. Look up the 3-phase and tell me you want to put yourself through that. Nah, I couldn't do it. I love the game. I think it's a fantastic game. It's just, I'm not, like I said, I'm not tainting the game because of a hard boss fight. There's really no negative to that. It's just, I didn't want to do it. That's all. I'm not taking points away from the game because I couldn't beat it. No, absolutely not. It's not even an unfair fight. It's just too much. That's all. Like, it looks like a hell of a fight, man. It looks like a hell of a fight, and it's probably super duper fun if you spend the hours and hours to figure out the patterns and everything. Just not for me. But other than that, I thought this game was freaking awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. All things said and done. So the only things I really had a negative about was the hard crashes. I didn't like all the hard crashes that I had to go through, but they didn't cause me to lose any major progress. Wasn't in the middle of a boss fight or anything where I was about to win and it was just like, No, it just crashed in weird places. Like when I'm just transitioning to the next screen, just bam, crashes. Get back in there in 15 seconds and we're back on our way. But for a modern game, a smaller game, wasn't expecting that many hard crashes. The Fuxi and Numa fight, I feel like is a little bit unbalanced and just kind of unfair on the side of the gamer. You're asking too fast, just too fast of reflexes, and that boss sometimes will just throw that combo out there too many times. I just think it has like a 90+ success rate at killing the player. It's just too fucking fast, too strong, all that shit. Other than that, I think the level design and just the design and the pacing of this game is fantastic. Everywhere you go, it's a nice layout. You're getting through it. I didn't get lost anywhere near. Actually, hold on. Let me discuss this. I did get lost. Quite often, I didn't know what the fuck to do next. I was like, I would do something and then I'd be like, okay, what direction should I go? I will say the map is a little bit tricky to read sometimes. Sometimes it's difficult to tell where I haven't been on a particular map. It's a little bit like, you're like, it's there, but I haven't actually been there. The map is a little bit difficult to read. I will put that in a negative. And, what was the other thing I had there for a negative for a second? The hitboxes a little bit. Sometimes the hitboxes can be a little bit like, I don't fucking think so, senor. That there's no way that fucking hit me, or there's no way I didn't hit you there kind of thing. A little bit of tweaking there that could tighten that up just a little bit. But again, not so bad that it was like fucking fuming or anything, but on the side of the good things, level design, when I know where I'm going, it was great. Like once I figured out where I'm going, there was a little bit of difficulty letting me know where to go next after I'm finished an area. Like it'd be great if I went to the pavilion and like you find these robots in all the areas and you can pay them or kill them to give you map information. And I just wish the main robot dude at the home base was just like, go this way, a new path has opened up or some shit. Because a lot of the time I was just like, I have no information of where I'm supposed to go next. So I had to look it up very often. I was like, all right, I just beat this boss, now what? And it was like pretty, like it would come up on Google like exactly that. Like, what do I do right after that? And there's like a fucking article on it right there. I'm like, all right, it seems like a lot of people are having that trouble. If you are, then yeah, that's definitely a negative to the game where it's not really setting me on the path to my next destination. But when I'm at my destination, the level design is fantastic, and I like the pacing of me getting new abilities and unlocking new things, and I'm getting powerful at the right time. All that shit, very good. Love the art style. I think it's a very nice looking 2D Metroidvania game. Maybe not like the best on the market. Like I think Hollow Knight still has more of that background detail, and the story in this game is quite nice. I really liked finding out about the souls, the 9 souls, what their story is. After you defeat them, it's like, oh shit, like, okay, this is what led them to this path. you and Schwan, your relationship growing throughout the game is really nice. All the other people that you meet are pretty fucking cool. That creepy merchant, like, what the fuck is that thing? Music is banging. Really like the music. The sound design hits. Satisfying weapon combat sounds and all that shit. Most of the bosses are very fun to fight and extremely challenging. And what else do I like about this game? I like a lot about this game, man. Overall, out of 10, I'm going to hit 9 Souls with an 8.5 out of 10. I think it is a must-play for you Hollow Knight Metroidvania fans out there. Definitely can't recommend it to everybody. I will say, when I first started playing this game, I was recommending it to everybody. I was like, oh my god, if you played Hollow Knight, you gotta play this game. Oh my goodness, it's so fucking good. And then I got to the Wuma fight or whatever the fuck, and I told people, I was like, hold up. I don't want to be responsible for you losing years of your life to a boss that's a little bit unfair. So I started to tell people, like, all right, it's really fucking hard. If you don't want to play a really, really hard game, then this won't be for you, because it's very, very difficult, I found. And I will say, I've beaten Elden Ring and Platinum Demon Souls, beat Dark Souls, dying like 3 times total. I've beaten Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, you name it. I've beaten hard games, and this is definitely on my list of some of the hardest game I have ever played. So, very well done, 9 Souls. I see you. I see Mr. Red Candle, or I don't know if you're a Mr., but Red Candle, y'all, all right. If you make a 9 Souls 2, I'm interested now. You guys have my attention with 9 Souls. Definitely one of the better Metroidvanias, and definitely scratched a Hollow Knight itch, and definitely scratched out any hard game itch that I have. I am in no mood to play anything fucking hard like that right now, so don't recommend any hard games to me right now. I am very much so in the mood for something very light and fun. I even have Power Washing Simulator downloaded, because I'm like, that seems like a nice relaxing time. So overall, hard as fuck, super fun and satisfying video game though. 8.5 out of 10, and let me know, did you play this game? Have you played it? Plan on playing it? Have you beaten this game? And damn, dude, if you beat this game, very good for you. I mean, like, in a positive way. Like, congratulations. That is a feat. That is a feat, I would say. If you can beat 9 Souls, you got more patience than me, at least. Like, I can beat it. I know I can. I just really don't want to put in that effort. I just don't. I don't want to taint my feelings of this game with an incredibly hard boss fight. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. Go out there and play 9 Souls if you got it in you, if you're brave enough, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, in terms of what we got going on with the podcast, last week was the Royal Rumble. If you haven't checked that one out yet, you can check out my review, and yeah, it was an interesting Rumble. It was I liked it, but there's definitely some things about it that pissed me off, and a lot of people in the WWE universe are not feeling it. Regardless, I'll have your wrestling recap up probably tomorrow, Sunday. Yeah. What the fucking day is this? Where are we right now? Hold on. Is this Saturday? Oh, my bad, y'all. I was supposed to upload this on Friday. That's my bad. I was busy yesterday. All right, well, yeah, so the WrestleCast, I'll have the recap up hopefully tomorrow. I will be watching Collision this time around. I don't think there's any pay-per-views until next weekend. I'm going to have AEW's Grand Slam Australia. I think that's where we're going, so we'll have a pay-per-view review out for that. And the Hockey Cast, we're going to be on a break here. Not with the Hockey Cast, but in the NHL. They're doing the 4... the fucking tournament's starting, so they're on a 2-week break from the NHL, so we could probably do some fun stuff while they're on a break, and there won't be so much hockey to talk about, but I will be discussing the Four Nations tournament and whatever's going on with that and all that great stuff, and any other news and what's happening around the NHL. We're going to be on a trade freeze, so there won't be any like crazy shit going on. It's going to be a pretty tame week, but I'll find some fun shit to talk about on the Hockey Cast. And in terms of the GamerCast, I don't really have anything planned just yet. Could be another list. It'll be something. It may even be a Tales of Arise review. We'll see where it goes. I feel like I already kind of talked about all the big things. It's not like a big unique game or anything. I think it just slides more. Maybe we'll do an underrated games thing again. Maybe do one of those lists. Regardless, there'll be something there for y'all to listen to. But there we go, everyone. Thank you again so much for listening. I upload all these episodes to the YouTube channel, GamerGX Videos. Go over there, subscribe, follow along over there. I have a Twitter page that I don't really use anymore, but it's there, and an email address there. I would love for anyone to send in some questions or comments. Drop them in on the YouTube channel. Any questions about wrestling, video games, or hacky. Let me know what you're playing and doing, all that great stuff. Would love to shout you out on the podcast. And, yeah, that's it, everybody. Thank you one more time, and we'll be back again with some GX Bluff Game.